The galaxy thought Earth was finished. Long ago, after a great war, the Galactic Union had forced Earth to surrender. Humans were banned from space travel, their weapons destroyed, and their world isolated. No ship came out of Earth's orbit for 200 years. No signal, no trade, no noise. The galaxy moved on. New powers rose, old enemies became friends, and Earth was forgotten. Many believed the humans had grown weak, peaceful, harmless. But then, something changed. It started with a mining colony on the edge of Union space. The workers there sent a strange message, static mixed with an old Earth language. Then silence. The Union sent a small scout ship. It never returned. 2 more ships were dispatched. Both vanished. The Union believed it was just pirates or a technical fault. But a week later, a ghost ship arrived at the edge of a trading post. It drifted in slowly, no lights, no crew. Inside, they found only one thing, a burned Terran flag, stuck to the wall with a blade. That's when the fear began. The Union Council met in secret. Many laughed at first. Earth? That old world? It was impossible. They had no army, no fleets. Their people were soft, tired, broken by years of exile. But the symbol found on the ghost ship told another story. It was an older flag, from Earth's military past, a symbol used only during war. Then came the transmission. Across all Union systems at the same moment, screens flashed. A voice played, deep, calm, without emotion. We warned you. You did not listen. The mask has slipped. No one knew where it came from. It wasn't traced to any ship or system, but every alien who heard it felt the same chill. Something was waking. Something old. Something human. A high-ranking general named Threx sent a full investigation fleet to Earth's solar system. When they arrived at the edge of the system, everything looked calm. Earth's moon was quiet. Old satellites still floated in orbit, dead and rusted. The ships moved closer, scanning for energy or movement. Then they found it, a base hidden under the surface of the moon. They landed. Inside the base, they found no people, no bodies, only empty halls and training rooms. But something was off. The walls were scratched. Weapons racks were empty. Doors had been torn open from the inside. In the command room, they found a single terminal still working. One word flashed again and again on the screen. Awakened. Before the crew could report, the base exploded. No warning, no countdown, just fire and silence. All contact with the fleet was lost. Back on the Central Union world, panic spread. One leader said, "This is no longer a myth. Earth is moving." Another replied, "Impossible. They don't have the tech. They don't have the strength." But someone whispered from the back of the room, "They don't need strength. They need anger." The story spread fast. Traders spoke of silent, black ships passing through asteroid fields. Mercenaries told tales of entire pirate clans going missing. Some even claimed to see human soldiers, quiet, masked, efficient, moving like shadows through the dark. Still, many leaders refused to believe. One said, "Earth was defeated. They can't touch us." But deep down, others remembered. The galaxy had not always been united. Once, long ago, Earth had pushed back entire empires. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and still they survived. Some said it was madness. Others said it was something worse. Patience. The camera on a broken probe finally sent one last image before shutting down. It showed Earth's surface. But it was different from the last Union record. Cities were rebuilt. Lights glowed beneath thick clouds. And in the sky, dozens of dark shapes floated in formation. Ships. Not massive fleets, but small, sharp, and fast, designed for attack, not defense. The Union's top spy reviewed the image and whispered one word. "They've been preparing." And then, for the first time in 200 years, Earth sent a message. Not a warning, not a request. It was just one sentence. "You should have let us stay forgotten." The galaxy went silent, and from the black edges of deep space, something began to move. Something human. Something angry. The message from Earth spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Every species, every system, every leader who once mocked Earth now paid attention. Still, many did not believe. They thought it was just fear, stories told by scared soldiers and broken sensors. But deep inside the Union's command center, the top generals knew something had changed. They had seen the probe footage, they had heard the voice, and more importantly, they had lost contact with 5 ships near Earth. That had never happened before. Far from Union space, beyond the edge of mapped stars, something else was happening. Hidden deep in an asteroid belt was a training station. It was cold, silent, and invisible to normal scans. Inside, hundreds of human soldiers trained without rest. This place was known as Forge Zero. Here, pain was not avoided. It was the first lesson. One young soldier stumbled out of a fire tunnel, his suit burned and cracked. Another climbed out of freezing water, shivering, but with fire in her eyes. There were no officers shouting at them, only screens showing their performance, scores. A voice on the speaker said calmly, "Survival is your choice. Weakness is your death." These were not average humans. They had been raised in secret for one purpose: revenge. 200 years ago, after Earth lost the war, the Galactic Union had forced all humans to return to their home planet. But some refused. Small groups escaped capture. They hid in the dark corners of space. And while the galaxy laughed at Earth's silence, these humans built something dangerous: a future army. Not with numbers, not with size, but with pure will. In one chamber, an old man watched the trainees. His name was General Rain. He had been only a boy when Earth fell. Now he was the leader of the Shadow Corps. He turned to his second-in-command and said, "They forgot us. Good. That gave us time." Us. The second-in-command asked, "What now?" Rain smiled slightly. "Now, we remind them." Far away, a small Union patrol ship entered a quiet asteroid field near the edges of human space. Their scanners picked up something odd, a metal structure buried inside a rock. The captain laughed. Probably old mining junk. They sent a drone to scan the area. The drone flew closer and closer until it stopped mid-air. Then the screen went black. The crew grew nervous. One officer said, "It could be interference." The captain replied, "Or a trap." They turned the ship around, trying to leave, but it was too late. From the shadows, small black ships appeared. No lights, no signals, just silent movement. In less than 30 seconds, the patrol ship was gone. No distress call, no survivors. The Union command received no signal from the patrol team. They sent another, this time with escorts. Again, nothing returned. On a remote station, a captured pirate told a story to his alien jailers. "We tried to rob one of their ships," he said, trembling. Just one, looked easy, no lights, no guards. The jailer leaned forward, and the pirate's eyes widened. "We didn't even reach the hull. Something hit us, fast, silent. My crew vanished. I heard footsteps on the metal. They came in wearing masks. They didn't speak, just pointed and pulled the trigger." The jailer asked, "Who were they?" The pirate's voice dropped to a whisper. "Humans." The Union began to panic in secret. They couldn't tell the public. If civilians learned that Earth was rising again, fear would spread. But deep in the council rooms, they spoke the truth. Earth had trained in the dark, and they had returned as hunters. In an emergency meeting, a high general stood and said, "We must attack Earth now, before they grow stronger." Another argued, "And if we're wrong, what if this is just a few rebels?" A third replied, "Then why do our ships keep vanishing?" There was silence. Meanwhile, on Earth's rebuilt surface, the Shadow Corps received their first command. Not to destroy. Not yet. Just to remind the galaxy who they were. A fleet of 10 ships left Earth's orbit silent and fast. They headed toward a small Union colony known for its advanced sensors. In the middle of the night, the ground shook. Explosions lit up the sky. But when the Union forces arrived the next day, there were no dead bodies, no human tech, no messages. Only the walls of the main control center burned black with fire, and on those walls 4 words were etched deep into the stone. The mask has slipped. From that day on, every system began watching the stars more closely. But it was too late. The hunters were already inside the gates, and they were just getting started. The galaxy still didn't understand what was coming. Some Union leaders believed these human attacks were random. Others believed it was only a small group, rebels without real power. But they were wrong. Earth was not acting without a plan. Every move was part of something bigger, something dangerous. And at the center of it was Forge Zero, a place where fear was erased and warriors were born. Inside Forge Zero, the training never stopped. The air was thick with smoke and heat. Soldiers moved through deadly courses, dodging fire, crawling under ice, jumping into freezing water with weapons in their hands. Each test was harder than the last, and there were no second chances. Those who failed did not train again. They were sent back to Earth, or worse, left behind in space. These weren't ordinary humans. They were chosen from birth, raised in silence, trained without mercy. Their minds were sharpened like blades. Pain became normal. Death became acceptable. They had no families, no distractions. Only one purpose burned in their hearts: to make the galaxy remember. One of the soldiers, a young woman called Vex, had never seen Earth. She was born on a hidden moon station and trained from the age of 3. Her hands were scarred. Her eyes were cold. She didn't speak unless necessary, but her aim was perfect, her speed unmatched. She had survived every simulation without failure. In her final test, she was dropped into a fake city designed to mimic a Union world. Robots attacked her. Explosions shook the ground. She ran through smoke, disabling enemies without killing them. She planted charges, disabled security, and escaped in under 10 minutes. When she returned, the room was silent. Then General Rain stepped forward and nodded once. "She's ready." Vex didn't smile. She simply loaded her gear and waited for orders. Across the galaxy, the Union began increasing patrols. Fear was spreading. Reports came in of small human ships appearing near colonies, then vanishing without a trace. Cargo ships went missing. Stations were found empty, but with no signs of struggle, just quiet, controlled attacks. The Union still had larger fleets, better technology, more people, but they didn't understand the enemy they were facing now. Earth wasn't trying to win through power. They were winning through terror. General Rain stood before his best units. Each one had passed the hardest training. Some had survived battles. Already, he looked at them, not with pride but with certainty. "You trained in fire," he said, his voice steady. "You ate pain. You wore silence. You became shadows. And now you will show them what we've become." The plan was simple. A major Union supply base would be hit. Not destroyed, not stolen, just humiliated. The attack began at midnight. 10. Humans in black suits dropped silently from orbit. No ships, just pods that burned through the sky like comets. They landed outside the base, activated their cloaks, and moved like ghosts through the darkness. Guards didn't hear them. Cameras didn't see them. By the time alarm sounded, the humans were already inside. They didn't fire a single shot. Instead, they hacked the base's control system, opened all the gates, and shut down the power. Then they left, just as silently as they had come. When Union soldiers arrived, they found every weapon melted into the floor. Every defense tower pointed at the command building, and on the main screen a message: "We trained in hell, now we've come home." The base commander stood frozen. He had never seen such precision, such silence. He knew this wasn't random. This was military-level strategy, and that scared him more than anything else. Meanwhile, across hidden communication lines, Earth received the report. General Rain listened, then gave the next order: "Send them to the outer colony. the one with the old mining station. That colony had never seen war. It was peaceful, small, and quiet. But that made it the perfect place for Earth's next move. 3 ships left from a dark sector of space. They didn't use warp drives, they didn't send signals. They moved slow, staying hidden. When they arrived, they waited. Then, when the colony's scanners shut down for maintenance, they struck. No one died. No one saw a thing. But when the workers woke the next morning, every building had been marked with the same symbol, a simple circle with a line through it, the symbol of the Shadow Corps. That day, thousands of citizens demanded answers. Who were these humans? How did they come and go like ghosts? The Union tried to keep it quiet, but fear has a voice of its own. And soon across the galaxy, children whispered the words their parents feared to say out loud. The humans are back. The galaxy was no longer calm. Every system near the edge of Union space had gone silent or scared. Stations locked their doors early. Civilian ships changed their flight paths. No one wanted to be the next target. Yet Earth still hadn't sent a formal message. No demands, no threats. Just quiet, brutal reminders that they were back, and better than ever. The Shadow Corps didn't use fleets or firepower. They used fear. And it was working. Union Command tried to stay in control. On public screens, they told people not to worry. There is no human threat, they said. Everything is under control. But behind closed doors, the truth was clear. Their patrols were getting weaker. Their stations were going dark. Every officer knew something was wrong, something big. In one sector, a famous Union battleship, the Valor's Blade, received an alert. A cargo ship had gone missing near the dead spiral. The captain, a veteran named Kor, laughed when he heard the report. Humans? Out here? No chance, he said. But he followed orders and set course for the last known location. They arrived within the hour. The cargo ship floated alone, lights dead, systems offline. No damage on the hull, no sign of attack. Just silence. Kor sent a team aboard. 10 soldiers entered. Only 2 came back. They weren't wounded, but their eyes were wide with terror. One of them dropped his gun and whispered. They were there, watching us. They let us leave. Kor didn't believe him until he saw the footage. The recording showed the soldiers moving through the ship. At first, everything was normal. Then the lights flickered. Shapes moved in the shadows, too fast, too quiet. The soldiers pointed their weapons, but nothing attacked. Instead, a single human appeared in front of them. He wore a black suit. His mask was cracked. Blood dripped from his arm, but he stood tall. Then he smiled and vanished into smoke. No, one spoke after that. Kor ordered a full retreat. When he returned, the Union questioned him for hours, but all he said was, "They could have killed us." They didn't. That means they're planning something worse. Across the stars, attacks continued, not with bombs, not with armies, but with silence. Each hit was clean, fast, and terrifying. A listening post here, a drone base there. One by one, the galaxy felt the chill of Earth's return. In one wealthy system, a luxury cruise station floated peacefully. Rich aliens danced and laughed, believing they were safe from war. Then, the power cut out. For 10 full minutes, the station went dark. When the lights returned, no one was hurt, nothing was stolen. But every screen on the station displayed one thing, a cracked human mask. The message below it read, "You left us to die. Now we've learned how to live without you." That image spread everywhere. Within hours, people across the galaxy were sharing it, downloading it, fearing it. The mask had become a symbol, a warning, a promise. The Union finally admitted the truth. Earth was attacking, and it was not a rebellion. It was organized, strategic, professional. Union Command scrambled to respond. They increased defenses. They recalled fleets. But nothing worked. Then came the strike on the Empire. The Valari Empire had mocked Earth for centuries. After Earth lost the war, Valari leaders said humans were barely above animals. They had built statues showing their victory, made videos mocking Earth's fall. So Earth chose them for a message. At dawn, 3 black ships entered the edge of Valari space. The Empire's orbital sensors saw them and activated the defense grid. 10 warships surrounded the zone. The Valari fleet prepared for battle. But no attack came. The human ships simply hovered. Then, from those ships, hundreds of small drones dropped silently. Each drone carried no weapon, just a speaker. At the same moment, every drone played the same message in the Valari language. We remember your words, now remember ours. Then the drones exploded, not with fire, but with light. They sent a blinding signal through the Empire's defense network. Screens burned out, scanners shut down. For 7 minutes, the Valari Empire went blind. When systems returned, the statues mocking Earth were gone, melted down, replaced by nothing but ash. The humans never landed. They never fired a shot. But the message was clear. There would be no mercy. Union leaders watched the footage in silence. One of them said quietly, "We laughed at them, mocked them, caged them, and they waited." Another whispered, "Now the mask has slipped, and what's underneath is worse than we feared." The galaxy had pushed Earth aside. Now, Earth was pushing back, and they weren't finished, not even close. The galaxy was no longer laughing. Earth had not only returned, it had done so with sharp silence and perfect timing. People across star systems whispered human stories like ghost tales. Soldiers began requesting transfers away from hot zones. Even high-ranking officers locked their doors at night. The Union still had control on paper, but fear had become the new leader. Inside Union Command, the pressure was breaking cracks into every wall. Surveillance teams could no longer track human movements. Defense networks were being probed and bypassed. Systems once called impossible to hack were showing signs of intrusion. Earth wasn't trying to take the galaxy. They were making the galaxy doubt itself. And now, the humans were ready for Phase 3. In the deep void between galaxies, a hidden fleet drifted in silence. It wasn't large, but it was strange. The ships were shaped like sharp wings and dark knives. No names, no lights, just quiet killers waiting in the dark. Each ship carried elite units from the Shadow Corps. Their target wasn't a battle. It was a message. One of the targets was Drathus Prime, a powerful industrial planet that produced weapons and drones for the Union. Heavily guarded. Heavily monitored. Unbreakable, or so they thought. At midnight, the planet's orbital defense ring blinked. Just once. That one blink lasted less than a second, but in that second, 12 humans landed on the surface. No alarms, no warnings, no war. By dawn, the main factory was empty. Every weapon blueprint was gone. Every drone storage unit was open and empty. And every guard was found unconscious, untouched by violence, with only a single word carved into the wall: mercy. No one understood it, but the Union commanders did. They knew Earth was telling them, "We could have ended you, but we didn't. This time." In a private chamber, the Supreme Strategist called an emergency council. His face was pale, his voice low. "We must respond with force," he said. "Not talk, not fear. Fire." But one of the old admirals shook his head slowly. "We did that before," the admiral said, "and we buried them alive. Now they've returned stronger. What if we do it again? And fail?" The room fell silent. Then a message arrived. Encrypted. No origin. But it was real. A simple video. It showed a human child holding a metal mask, the same cracked one from previous messages. She looked into the camera and said, "We remember the day you burned our sky. Now it's our turn to light the stars." Then the screen went dark. Meanwhile, inside Forge Zero, Vex prepared for her final mission. This one wasn't like the others. It wasn't silent. It wasn't clean. It was loud. And it was public. She wasn't going alone. 3 teams had been chosen. All elite, all trained since childhood. The target, Union Command Central. Not to destroy it, but to enter it. To stand in the heart of the Union and make Earth's presence undeniable. They didn't plan to win a battle. They planned to break a lie. The operation began during a Union celebration, a day where they remembered their victory over Earth. Flags were raised, speeches were made, soldiers marched. No one expected the humans to come here. That's why they came. As the parade reached its peak, the skies above the Capitol flashed, not with bombs, with drop pods. Sleek black pods pierced the clouds, landing on rooftops, streets, and towers. Before anyone could react, humans were on the ground. Calm, fast, precise. They didn't fire at civilians. They didn't aim to kill. They disabled defenses, cracked systems, and walked straight toward the Union command tower. People screamed and ran. Soldiers hesitated. The humans didn't stop. Vex led the way, mask glowing red, voice calm through her comms. Let them see us. Let them know it's real. They reached the Union Tower in minutes. No one could stop them. Inside, guards stood frozen. No training had prepared them for this. Vex stepped into the central chamber and placed a small device on the floor. A hologram appeared. General Rain. His voice echoed across the building and into every system it was connected to. You told the galaxy we were extinct, that we were broken, but we were only waiting, watching, preparing. He paused. We didn't come to take your stars. We came to return what you left in our soil. Pain, silence, and fire. And now you'll taste it too. The hologram vanished. The humans left. The tower just as easily as they entered. No one chased them. The Union command didn't fall, but it cracked. And across the galaxy, something shifted. Not just fear. Not just confusion. Respect. The humans had done what no one believed possible. They had walked into the enemy's heart, delivered their message, and left without blood. The galaxy now faced a truth it had buried long ago. The mask was gone. And the face beneath it wasn't human anymore. It was something the stars had created. Something forged in fire. And it was far from finished. Vex sat in the dark watching stars move past the window of her dropship. Her face was calm, but her mind raced. She had just walked into the heart of Union Command, placed a message for the entire galaxy to see, and walked out untouched. Now the galaxy was on fire with fear. News spread faster than light. Every screen, every channel, every backwater system was talking about one thing. The humans were back. Not as victims, not as rebels, but as something else. Across Union space, leaders panicked. Cities doubled their guards. Military stations stopped answering calls. No one trusted anyone anymore. Because no one knew how many humans were out there, or how deep they had already reached. On one station, an admiral looked out at his fleet and whispered, "We were wrong. We didn't kill them. We made them disappear. And now they've come back with teeth." In a hidden control room deep below Forge Zero, General Rain stood before a table full of maps. Each red dot marked a location where Earth had struck silently. Each green one showed places they hadn't touched. Yet, Rain spoke softly to his team. "We're done hiding. The galaxy needs to remember, not fear, not rumors, truth." The others nodded. Phase 4 was ready. But it wasn't about ships or battles. It was about the story. Because the Union had erased Earth's story, they called humans wild, unstable, emotional. They erased history from schools, burned records, buried facts, told everyone that Earth's destruction was fair, even kind. But Earth had kept the truth. In data drives hidden deep under oceans, in the minds of survivors, in the children raised, not with hate, but with memory. Now that truth would rise. A data bomb was launched, silent, undetectable. It entered the Union's education grid, slipped through their filters, and spread like a virus. Within hours, schools, public archives, and media centers across 10 sectors were showing something new. Real Earth history. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It was simple. Footage of the first attack. Union warships in Earth orbit. Images of broken cities, burned forests, oceans turned to steam, audio of Union leaders calling Earth a test planet, not a real home. And then, the voices, survivors, children, scientists, soldiers, all speaking the same words. You erased us, but we are still here. The galaxy watched in silence. Some wept, some got angry, some refused to believe, but none could forget what they saw. In the outer rings of space, resistance movements began to whisper to each other. We were wrong about the humans. They were never monsters. They were made into monsters by us. The Union tried to stop the data bomb. Too late. It was already inside too many minds. And once a truth spreads, it cannot be buried again. On a merchant ship in deep space, a young alien technician stared at a photo of Earth before the war. Blue oceans, white clouds, green land. He whispered, "They had beauty. We destroyed it." In a crowded market, a former soldier removed his Union medal and tossed it into the dirt. "I won't fight ghosts," he said, "especially not ones we made." Meanwhile, Earth moved forward. The Shadow Corps was growing. New recruits from secret colonies were arriving at Forge Zero. Young, focused, quiet. Rain watched them train. They didn't smile. They didn't speak much. But their eyes burned with purpose. One night, Rain gathered them in the cold steel chamber where every operation was born. He stood before them and said, "They stole our name. They called us dangerous. They turned our pain into a lie. But we are not here for revenge. We are here to remind the stars what happens when you corner the wrong species." He paused, then pointed to the map of the galaxy. "There are two paths now. One leads to war. One leads to memory. We are ready for both." The recruits nodded in silence. Outside, ships began to launch again. But not to attack. Not yet. These ships carried voices, carried memory, carried truth. Because sometimes the strongest weapon is not a bomb. It's a story that cannot be silenced. And Earth had just started telling theirs. The galaxy trembled, not from noise, not from fire, but from the simple, quiet realization the humans weren't coming for power. They were coming to take back their place. A heavy silence fell across the galaxy. Not the silence of peace. The silence before a storm. The Union's leaders met in secret chambers, speaking in low voices, surrounded by maps, data, and fear. They had the largest fleet in the galaxy, but their power meant nothing if no one believed in it anymore. Earth had not fired a superweapon, had not invaded planets. And still, the galaxy was slipping from the Union's hands. In the last 30 days, 5 key systems had broken away. 2 military stations had refused orders. And in dozens of cities, the people had taken to the streets, demanding the truth. Truth about Earth. Truth about the war. Truth about what really happened when the Union won. But the most dangerous part was not rebellion. It was belief. More and more people, ordinary citizens, soldiers, even diplomats, had begun to believe in something impossible. That the humans had survived for a reason, that they had been wronged, that they were back, not to destroy, but to remind. One voice, one truth, one story had lit a fire across the stars. And now, the Union could no longer put it out. In the shadows of a broken moon, Earth's flagship, the Vigilant Ash, hovered quietly. It wasn't the biggest ship in the galaxy, but it was the most feared. Inside, General Rain stood in a chamber of steel and blue lights. Around him stood the 12 leaders of Earth's hidden factions, scientists, soldiers, historians, and even poets. Yes, poets. Because this war was no longer just about weapons. It was about meaning. Rain looked at each of them and spoke, The Union is fractured, but it still stands. If we crush them now, we become what they said we were. Monsters. Savages, but if we stop now, they'll rebuild their lies. What do we do? There was silence. Then Vex stepped forward. We don't destroy them, she said. We show them. Show them what? Asked one of the old commanders. Vex looked out the window at the stars. Show them what Earth really is. And so the final mission began. Not with weapons, not with assassins, but with a single ship, unarmed, unmarked, carrying one thing, the Truth Archive, a complete record of Earth's past, from the first moon landing to the last firebomb dropped during the Union's betrayal. All of it. Pain, beauty, triumph, horror, every part of the human story. The Truth Ship jumped into Union territory. Alarms sounded, fleets moved to intercept, but the ship didn't run. It broadcast one message on every frequency. We do not come to fight, we come to speak. If you destroy this ship, you destroy your last chance to understand us. The Union hesitated, and in that hesitation, something ancient returned to the galaxy, respect. They allowed the ship to land on neutral ground, a space station built by many species long ago. There the archive was opened. People came by the thousands, at first to mock, then to watch, then to weep. They saw the wars, the losses, the betrayal, and the choice Earth made after the fire. Not to seek revenge, but to become something more. A species that never forgot, never forgave, but also never gave up. The final broadcast came 1 week later. From Earth itself, General Rain stood before a camera with the Earth behind him, green again, strong again. He looked tired, but proud. He said, "You tried to bury us, but you buried seeds, and seeds grow. We are not monsters. We are not myths. We are not ghosts. We are humanity, and we remember everything. To those who want peace, we welcome you. To those who want war, we're ready. But to all of you, never forget us again." The screen faded, and for the first time in centuries, the galaxy was quiet in a new way. Not from fear, but from awe. Because Earth had returned. Not as rulers, not as victims, but as a mirror, showing every species what they could become, or what they might become, if they forgot who they were. And deep in that silence, one truth stood above all. The mask had slipped, and what lay beneath was something unstoppable. Humanity, unbroken, awake, and watching.